All right, item number 13. Discuss take action on implementing CopSync in all county facilities and sheriff's vehicles. I think that's Dwayne, Allen, Doug.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
We're sheriff's handing y'all some of y'all have already seen this. The top page is the quote that we received from CopSync. And basically what we want to do is just kind of discuss and kind of briefly give you an idea of CopSync. CopSync, you're going to probably hear several different terms here. CopSync, CopSync 911, and CourtSync. CopSync is the basic fundamental package that the county has to have that goes into the sheriff's vehicles to operate this system. It includes computers in the cars. It includes the software to run the system. That is the $98,547.95 total that you have on the first page for the implementing of CopSync. Basically what it is it places computers in the cars. The officers can run driver's license. They can also run license plates, and the returns come straight back to their vehicle. There's other things as far as civil process that helps our officers serve papers in court matters with processing through the civil courts and also through the JP courts. We have a gentleman here from CopSync that would like to give y'all a quick demonstration if y'all would like to see it, kind of what it does, what it will do. But the main reason that we're wanting to focus on CopSync is they have an alternate program called CopSync 911. And CopSync 911 would allow the courts, and it would allow all the county facilities, it would allow the schools, it would allow Happy Hill, it would allow the bank. We've been out and we've talked to the bank. The bank they won't discuss it further with us, but Mr. Cooper was not there at the time. So I'm going to go back and discuss it with him later this week. The Happy Hill, they've agreed to pitch in $1,000 to assist us in implementing this. The schools, they've agreed through an interlocal agreement to supply the county with the computers. And so that's, if you look at the second page, I've shown the deductions, and on the left side of the page, you have the deductions for the computers, the deductions from Happy Hill. So the implementation of the program has went from $98,500 down to $34,700. That's with the school's input and with Happy Hill. Basically, we would kind of like to give you a quick demonstration if y'all like to see it as to what it will do.
So like see it? Come on, sir. Do you need to connect to the overhead?
Yes, sir. And he's already done it, so he knows
I'll
best.
say go ahead and disconnect wherever you need.
Basically, 911, CopSync 911, it goes in every computer. It can also go on every teacher's iPhone or any phone, their smartphone. It can go into banks on all their computers. And basically what it is it gives them a panic button to where if something was to happen in the school, the bank. It can even go to Hammond's. It could go to Happy Hill. If anybody pushes their panic button, it automatically sends out not just to dispatch, but it sends to the 5 closest police units that are on duty at the time. Our constables, they already have CopSync. The sheriff's department does not. So if they say there's an incident at the school, the teacher pushes the button, it automatically notifies the closest sheriff's units to respond, and it opens up a dialog box. So the teacher can now talk straight to the responders that are coming to help. It saves a great amount of time having to go through dispatch, putting it in the computer, and then dispatching out the call. And the responders can talk straight to the person that's in need. So it's a great benefit not only for the sheriff's department, but for the whole county as far as safety is concerned. If we can get this implemented not only through the computer, computers, but also through their phone app, then we're going to have that many more eyes out into the field to help us respond to calls.
We'll have it in every office. Every computer that's permanently set will be already on the system. Everybody wants it on their phone, however they want to do it. All employees can have it in any facility we've got. Golf
Yes.
course, expo, AgriLife, Sheriff's Department, this entire building.
Yes, sir.
And
And it's unlimited as to the number of people that you can put on their phone. So everybody that works for the county, you could put this on their phone. So it also works like if they were out, say, a field trip to Dallas and something happens, the teacher could pull out their phone and hit the emergency button. It not only works in our county, it also works in other counties for the people that also are on CopSync in that other county. So they would also get the 5 closest units, could also be talking to them. So,
after a demonstration, we'll talk about the various ways for the funding, where the funding will come from.
I'll just restart that. Good morning, County Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for taking time to see CopSync this morning. My name is Rob Powell. I've been in public safety for just shy of 34 years as a paramedic and firefighter, then a tactical officer up in the Washington, D.C. area. I thought I'd retire after my first go-round. Moved to Texas and got back into law enforcement and worked my way up to Chief of Police in Wills Point, Texas, which is just east of the Dallas Metroplex. My department has been using CopSync since 2008, and CopSync asked me to come down today so I could fill in for the gentleman that y'all have been dealing with, Joe Fuller. He's on spring break with his children. And I'd like to do a real quick demonstration about that. Before we get started, do you have any, is this the first time that y'all are seeing this demonstration?
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just finding my computer real fast when I closed it and reset. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a demonstration of what you would see in a patrol vehicle. CopSync was born out of the necessity for communication amongst police departments and amongst police officers after Randy Better, one of the state troopers in Texas, was killed roadside by someone who had said, the next time I get pulled over by a police officer for not wearing my seatbelt, I'm going to kill the next police officer. The officers in that area did the right thing. They took out their little pads in their pockets. They wrote down the information. They put it into their computer system, and their department knew about it. The problem is that the departments around them, nor DPS, had any information about this gentleman. He was pulled over, got out with an assault rifle, and killed Randy Better on the side of the highway in Texas. So CopSync was born out of that necessity, and it's grown into a situation where it goes into the police cars, and it allows us to not only communicate from car to car, from department to department, with our neighbors and our own officers, but across the entire nation. We have officers all the way from the New England area, all the way out to California. CopSync 911, piggybacked in on that idea. It's so that you put instant communication inside of your schools, inside of your courts, inside of your important buildings and your infrastructure, so that if there's an emergency going on inside these buildings, with the push of a button, the person who pushed it then can alert not only the people inside their building, such as administration, the county judge, the commissioners, the sheriff, but also goes to the dispatch center. And it allows the dispatch center and the 5 closest officers who are running this to receive instant communication that there's an emergency going on inside this building. And what it does is it opens up a communication portal where it's just like a group text message on your cell phone, where the people can actually communicate and say, I've got a seizure going on in my classroom. There's a fire down the hall. There's a shooter, or I hear something in the hallway. So instead of someone having to find their phone, pick it up, dial 911, and I don't know how the situation is in this county, but in my county, max staffing for our 911 center is two dispatchers. And if you've got 25 people all trying to call 911 at the same time because something's going on, calls are going to go into queue. It's going to take the dispatcher quite a while to ascertain who it is, because remember, dispatchers have to verify everything. Who it is calling, what telephone number they're calling from, where they're calling from, and so on, get the information and dispatch it out to the officers. So CopSync 911 takes away those 3 to 5 minutes that you spend on 911 with the dispatcher, alerting the officers in their car so they can be en route. And what I'm going to do here in just a second, as long as my technology cooperates with me, is I've logged into a demo version of CopSync 911. And what I'd like to do is get one person, and unfortunately I can't put both of my computer screens up. Judge, can I bring my computer over to you, or would you like one of the other?
Okay.
Okay.
You trust in my hands?
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do, just so the commissioners know, this is just going to be just a regular desktop computer, like you would see, say, in your court or in your, there you go, in your classroom. And down in the bottom right-hand corner, you should see a little icon.
All right.
When you double-click that icon, it's going to start a 15-second countdown.
All right.
Okay. If it was a false alarm, you can click cancel.
Okay.
Or if you want it to go, you can go ahead and click send now. What it's going to do is the judge is saying something's going on in my office, in my school, whatever the case may be. It is talked through the internet to my police car. And it has opened up this portal instantly. In less time than it takes him to pick up his phone and dial 911, before he's even talked to the person, he has now sent this straight into dispatch and straight into the 5 closest officers who are driving the CopSync computer system in their car. What he can do now is he can either leave it alone or he can type me a message. If he chooses to type me a message, it will show up just like a text message in my car. And he said, help. But what makes this so important is if you notice at the top, this came from, and it's in test mode right now, assistance was requested from Powell ISD, that's my school district. The name of the school, there's the physical address, 1011 FM 741 in Forney, Texas. Zip code, it came from math room 210, which is what my computer is set up for. And it's a northeast hallway, and he happens to be set up as a substitute teacher. Well, that's great information because now we know at least what's going on. We know that someone in room 210 has requested help. But let's say I'm not real familiar. I've had a bad day and I can't remember where the heck is 741. Up here, if I click on threat location, what it'll do is it will open up a map. Yep, there we go. My internet connection is just a little slow in here. What it does is it opens up a map so you can actually see there's 741 and there's the map. And if I had my mouse working, I could scroll in and out. So you can get a better idea of where the location is. So that gives you situational awareness. Where is the building? But it goes one step further. If you notice right here, it says target floor plan. Because even though we may know how to get to a building, where is the office that we're being called to, or where is the building? The school, the court, whatever building it is that we're talking about, can provide to us any floor plans they want. We will upload them into the CopSync 911 database. So now not only do we know that it's room 210, we know how to get there, and we now know the floor plan so we can plan our entry. So we have all that information. And now I've got this open chat room, and this area over here would be filled with dispatchers, the 5 closest officers, and let's take this building for example. Maybe the commissioners all want to know about it. Maybe your administrative staff inside the building needs to know about it. Because what's going on in one part of the building is very important, because as soon as we hear something, some type of commotion going on in the hallway, what is human nature? We open the door, we stick our head out into the hallway to see what's going on. Once we've done that, we've exposed ourselves to a potentially dangerous situation. If it's a shooting, if it's a hazardous material situation, if it's a fire, we've then exposed ourselves and everyone behind us in our room or in our office to the same situation. So what it does, it allows all the information to be passed amongst y'all inside the same building to law enforcement at the same time. So that's the gist of how CopSync 911 works. But it's not just CopSync 911. And if you give me just a second, I'm going to log into some live demo. as a police officer, it's very important to understand that what the officers and the deputies do every day involves things that seconds and minutes can truly make the difference between life and death. So we've got this information coming into CopSync 911. I want to show you just how powerful CopSync has become in the state of Texas and in this area. It zooms in on my city, and give it just a second. These right here are all the schools in my city. So if I'm coming down the road, let's say that I've got a high-speed pursuit coming in from the east side down here up into where our schools are. Not only can the schools tell the police that something's going on, but the police department can also, by a click of the button, I can say I want all of these schools to go on lockdown. And all I do, and I would put a message in. I'm not going to send this. This is live data. I would be literally sending this message into my schools at the same speed that you send it out to me. So it gives the police the ability to communicate into the schools in the event of emergency. And while we'd like to say that police events are few and far between, what's more prevalent in this area? Probably weather events. When we get into the spring, summer, and fall, severe weather comes rolling through on a regular basis, and it's nice to be able to tell your school, hey, start looking out for this. But what I wanted you to see is take a look at all these dots. These are all different police officers. Oops, get out of that. These are all different police units inside the state of Texas that are in their vehicles with active GPS. So when we say it's going to the 5 closest police officers driven by GPS, let's say something's going on in your county, and most of your deputies, for whatever reason, were up in Johnson County because of a large incident. Let's say that the 5 closest units may be coming from surrounding agencies, maybe coming from Hood County, maybe coming from northern Johnson County. It drives off of the closest to find the fastest response to your schools. What else can I show you for?
I believe that sounds.
And y'all probably already saw the school, what they would like to do is they're gonna map out every building and every room they have, auditoriums, gymnasiums, coliseums, things like that. What we would do is we'd map out every computer, like what's in tax assessor's office, clerk's office, treasurer's office. Those would be identified, and then the telephone's actually identified by GPS, is that correct?
Yes.
If they would call in through the telephone, that's a whole different ballgame, or text in. These will be hard, deep programmed,
On the cell phone, you download an app,
okay?
and it's just an icon. And all you would do is you would tap on it, and it opens it up, and you can either use, if you're inside the building, you can use a fixed location. Let's say that your classroom, for whatever reason, or your part of the building doesn't have something that's working in the way of a computer. You can click your room if it's already preset, or you can just click your use my current GPS location. It pulls your GPS off of your phone and sends it into the 911 CopSync 911 system. Now, I've had my phone on silent, but since I'm one of the administrators in my school district, I also got a text message saying that there was room 210 math building had an emergency going on. It came in at the same time. So I was alerted to the situation, not because I'm going to so much respond, but just like you all, you need to be aware of what's going on in your county so that in the event that something really bad does transpire from the alarm or the alert, you're ready to start taking action with whatever you can do from your agency or your position.
You can imagine this takes place of what we've got in place right now.
Now, CopSync 911 is not intended to replace all of your systems because I'm sure that you've got some great plans in place. The idea is that it's supposed to augment what you have and bring the responders there quicker.
Also, as he showed you here in this picture, we would know where our vehicles are in the county as far as their own GPS, so we can actually see them moving through the county on any given point in time. We had a complaint last week about speeding officers. We can actually go back in time with this system and find out who it was, what vehicle they were in, and at the exact time as to when it happened. It shows their speed they were traveling, where they're at the time. it has many other facets. Some we can't get into, some you can tie it to the phone system in the jail. We're looking at a system for our jail later on down the road when our system comes out of contract that we can actually tie it to this. And we won't go into that for security reasons, but there are really good things that it can do for the sheriff's department on that end too. So this system is a great system that we would like to look at and implement into our sheriff's department vehicles. But in order to do that, in order to receive the 911, we must have CopSync installed in our vehicles first.
And what these guys are thinking, I imagine, is funding. Where's the funding coming from? How are we going to do it? How much is it? So forth, so on. We
have the $50,000 that was given to us under the emergency management. We're requesting that we take that $50,000 and implement it into this CopSync. I believe 50 will get us very, very close to being implemented, since the school, through their interlocal agreement, has agreed to provide the computers. Basically, all we'll have to do at that point is get the jetpacks and some equipment in the vehicles, which Happy Hill has already agreed to purchase $1,000 of some of the equipment, like the stands. We got to have the stands to hold the computers in the cars. So there's some other things, but the $50,000 should implement the initial system into the sheriff's department vehicles.
And as far as doing the computers, jump in here anytime, and the iPhone, the CopSync 911, I believe that the first year is $3,200, and then we get a grant from them for so much, but we still pay about $2,400 or so to cover all of our facilities. I'm just talking about the county, I'm not talking about the school.
This is CopSync 911.
Yes, this is just the 911. If you remember, we put $21,000 in security line item last year to try to update and replace what we have in place. This would do that. For what was going to cost them, about $25,000 to
It was going
replace?
to be $25,000 just for the panic buttons that are in the system now that no longer work.
And we'll be paying about $2,400 out of that. Now, this is totally separate. This is if you implement the computers that Dwayne's talking about. Then you can implement the 911 for, I believe, the first year is $2,400, and it's $1,000, $2,000 a year after that.
Yes. And also, so y'all know, there is recurring annual expense on this. The recurring annual expense, that's fine. The recurring annual expense is not the expensive part on CopSync's side, but recurring annual expense is going to be on our data jetpacks, which are the little, this system, this here, which would go inside of each unit. We're asking for 21 units, 20 for the sheriff's department and 1 for the fire marshal. And you don't buy these are given to you
Under the DIR contract. We're familiar with that? I don't know if we ever used DIR here or not.
Yeah, we have a couple of
The
times.
state of Texas allows contracting through government and education entities at a much lower cost. They give you the devices and you just pay for the unlimited data monthly. And it's just a flat fee.
Through Verizon, isn't it?
Verizon, we have found when we did it through the school on our buses, doing bus routes, Verizon, not choosing one company over the other necessarily, just had better coverage for Somervell County. It could be different for every county you go to.
And these are $38.95 a month.
Very close to that. It could be $38.75, but it's very close to that.
And that would be per unit.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 21, that'd be about $10,000 a year. That's just the data that you have to exchange over the air to this computer.
What it is it's converting over-the-air cellular into a Wi-Fi so that the system can talk without having to plug something into it.
It's actually $37.99, because we already have 5 for the fire department.
Oh, that's correct. We're doing the, please know about that. The Surface Pros we did in the EMS vehicles. We're using that now.
So overall, the annual expense after this year is going to be a little over $11,000. That includes CopSync's costs and the data usage on the jetpacks. So I just wanted y'all to know that, so when you see it in the budget later on, we're not surprising you with anything that you don't already know. So if we do approve this, there will be some annual cost with this.
Like everything.
I wanted to say minimal, but that's not minimal, that's a lot of money, but.
Once you get past your initial cost and your implementation, and get everything up and rolling, you're looking $900 to $1,000 a month roughly to keep it going into the future.
And honestly, that to me is cheap when you're talking about the overall security of the citizens of the county, because that's what we're doing with this 911, which is what we're looking at it for. We're looking at the security of our citizens. So.
And if nothing else, all of our facilities.
Right. I had suggested to Dwayne and to the judge that possibly we should explore interlocals as well with some of the other governmental agencies, such as the city, if they want this type of individualized coverage and for like their city facilities, hospital district, water district, that they could also, we could share some of that cost with them, especially on the ongoing expenses.
Can an individual citizen have the app?
No, the app is granted by permission only. So that, let's say that you have 25 employees. You give permission to those employees that you want to have it, and then you also have the ability to revoke credentials at any time. Kind of like if you take the keys away from an employee, we take the app away from them. And the reason being is that the information that comes through this is considered vetted information. It's not someone who went down to the corner store, bought a $10 track phone, called in, said, there's a fire on the east end of your town, while on the west end of the town, he's busy robbing the bank or the corner store. The information that comes through here is considered vetted, that it's real information coming from someone that you know who it is.
And didn't we talk about, we had roughly 130 employees in the county, and about 80 is what when we were going over the rough cost that might want to implement this just in the county. I'm not talking about school. The department heads, second in command, officials, golf course, expo. I think we come with about 80 people when we come up with that price that we wanted implemented throughout the county.
And there's also, while y'all are pondering that, there's also separate parts of this. I don't know if you're familiar with CopSync.
Absolutely. Yeah, we run courses.
I spoke with the JPs about this, and they were very upbeat about this also. Basically, CopSync, and this is a completely separate, so I'm just telling you, there's other things that can be added to this later on. CopSync, we swipe a driver's license through the magnetic reader. It auto-populates our tickets. We type in what the offense was, where it occurred, time, date, hit print. It prints in our vehicles. We can take them a hard copy, the offender, and give them a hard copy, but also it automatically sends to the JPs and theirs into the computer instantly, correct? The ticket. So there's not a week. Right now when we issue a citation, it takes about a week to get to the JPs, get entered into the computers, and get to where the public can actually come down and pay their ticket. If they're out of town and they want to pay their ticket today, right now, you may or may not see it until later on when we arrest them or they send it in the mail. They may want to come down right now after receiving the ticket and pay it. Well, it'll be in the system then.
Our small city had $1.6 million in uncollected Class C citations. And for a small city of 3,500 people, that's an exorbitant amount. Not only does it transmit the data from the police cars to our courts, so that the court clerk is not required to sit there and manually type the information into the computer, which not only saves time, but it also prevents errors, because a typo error will prevent the processing of the citation and usually takes quite a bit of time to correct. But it also, if that person chooses not to make good on their citation, or they've gone to court and they don't make the payments after they've been ordered to do so, our court software then moves the information back into the CopSync network and says, now this is a Class C warrant. But it's not just to our officers. It's to every officer that's using CopSync in Texas. So when you take that and you couple it, and I don't like getting into the revenue portion, but when you look at the ability for an officer on the side of the road now, under Texas law, to be able to clear a warrant as opposed to take someone to jail, it's a very powerful tool to help you track down those who haven't taken care of business, and it gives the police officers a whole new level of accountability because it shows, hey, they came into this person, they knew they had a warrant, what did they do with it?
That's just another facet of this that we're not discussing. I just wanted to let y'all know that it is something that helps us and the courts tremendously.
And the CourtSync works as CopSync 911. It has the same panic button situation.
So to get everybody on the same page here, what we're looking at today, along with the schools portion, the 50,000 from the power plant, you would like to implement that into,
Yes, sir.
first get the CopSync up and running. The 911, we can take care of out of the security that we've already put in the budget last year. I mean, as far as this year, but we did it September last year. All right. And what other expenses are these gentlemen looking at?
Right now, that would be the only that I know of off the top of my head with this quote would be the implementation into the sheriff's department's vehicles is the initial investment, which is what you're looking at the handout here. Plus some equipment. The jetpacks are not on this quote. Those would be separate. That's why we're requesting the full 50 and that again was given to us by Comanche Peak to be used for emergency management use.
And I think you talked to them also, haven't you? About
Yes, the
this
power
moving
plant
forward?
is very excited about it. It's another form of redundant communication to the plant. They want to discuss it with CopSync, putting it in their system, their units out there. So they would also tie into us through CopSync also with the 911.
Is there a cost you said around that, you want to people to be hooked up or whatever?
There is not a cost with the phone
How many
app.
people?
We do it, I'm sorry, the way they described it to me, we do it per what they normally call facility, and we're gonna get all 8 facilities plus the 80 people that I mentioned to them, or it'll eventually be the 2,000 a year, the first year is 3,200, and we get there's a credit we get back from them, but I didn't bring that paper with me. I think it costs us $2,400 the first year, and $2,000 a year after that.
And that would cover all the facilities that the county owns.
Yes, not third date of jetpacks and things like that. That just would be us. You know, if we want it on our phone and every computer in this annex and every one we designate would be tied to it.
And then the phone apps, that whoever you choose to put it on is unlimited.
Correct. And the same for the computers. And the way you look at it is if you have a high school that has 500 students and you have a high school that has 20,000 students, you're gonna have the same ability to roll it out to all the teachers in that 20,000 students for the same location fee.
Which is the $1,000 annually for the school, for each campus.
Right.
So the school's actually going to be invested in this for $4,000 a year because they're doing 4 campuses.
Plus all the computers.
Plus, yes, plus they're supplying the computers through interlocal agreement, and that was, as you can see on the second page, that was the largest chunk. That was
$46,293.
plus the docking stations. That's $62,000 that we were able to take straight out of it because Mr. Redpan believes in this enough that he's going to use interlocal agreements to supply us with the computers.
Any questions or discussions, ladies and gentlemen? Would we like to move forward? How you doing, Kim? Good. Would we like to move forward with this, or what are we thinking? More discussion?
11,000 years, like I said.
Okay.
You think we'll be getting 50,000 emergency fees?
We will this year and we will next year in January. That agreement expires on December 31st of 2018, but it's supposed to be renewed by whoever the incoming judge is for the next 4 years. That's how that's set up. So you have it this year and next year, and then I'm sure if you so designate, you could use 11,000 a year out of that, because it is emergency planning and emergency funding.
I would also like to point out that the $11,000 for the jetpack data is not limited to just CopSync. We're looking at some other things, like, for instance, let's look at the fuel spill we had out here where 8,000 gallons of fuel spilled out. It was a hazardous area that we couldn't really put people in the area. If we could have set up some tactical cameras in the area and tied them to our cars through the jetpack, because each one of these can carry 10, at least 10. So you can have a computer, we can have a camera, and we can tie it to this jetpack through the car. We could view those cameras at the EOC live as things are happening. We can pan, tilt, zoom. Those cameras are $80. They're extremely inexpensive. We're looking later on in next year's budget, we're going to come and ask for some tactical cameras to go in our vehicles so that we can set them up for situations like this. If we have a barricaded person, we can set a camera out there to where we can watch the situation, and we don't have to risk an officer's life, so that we can have a camera sitting out there to watch. And that can be sent to any cell phone, any tablet, or down to our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, live while it occurs. Yes, and then also our drone that we use, we're currently using our personal data to send that information if someone needs it. This would allow us in all our vehicles, we could just connect it to one of the vehicles and be able to send live feed information from our drone back to our EOC. So the $11,000, it's roughly $10,000 actually, that we're going to be spending on the data is not tied strictly to CopSync. It's for other issues that we can look at later on for uses that we have in mind that we're going to come to court with also. So,
And Dwayne, we've got a couple of air cards that we're buying now, paying now for the sheriff's office, that these could be then deactivated, right, when this jetpack is
That's what we did for EMS.
yeah, so we're already on the hook for some air cards on a monthly basis that I see on, I don't know exactly what they're being used for, but I know.
Those are only tied to that one device as well.
Mhm.
These are separate to two pieces so that you can have up to 10 more devices. With the air cards, it's just that iPad is the only thing that can be on it, if I remember correctly.
so we're not talking about $11,000 or $10,000. $10,000 just for CopSync annually. This can be used for other items that we're looking at implementing later.
We have to have it for CopSync, but it can be used for many different.
Yes, sir. Correct.
So Brian, I'm sure you're the one to run the numbers, put it all together with the 50,000 and the other coming out of what we already have. Where do we look as far as what we're spending and where the money's coming from?
Well, I mean, certainly for this, the 50 covers all this for year one. On subsequent years, I mean, a portion of that 50 could certainly be used for it, or the security line item we could continue to fund to take care of that. I mean, there's a number of options, but you know, to answer the question for year one, we've got it year one, especially with these, you know, with the school contributing their part. And certainly if we're able to, even if we're able to get some of the other entities to participate too, it even reduce the amount we'd have to contribute.
Okay. So as far as doing it, we're in good shape.
Yes, sir.
This year. All right.
You mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, next year you're going to come forward and ask for some steel cameras, temporary setup cameras.
Yes,
What kind of expense are we looking at there?
those were $80 a piece.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yes, and those are remotely operated, internet-based. You set them up, you hook them to your battery on your car, tie it to your internet, and you walk away from it. We can, from the EOC, from a computer laptop, we can pan, tilt, zoom remotely from a laptop. And that's later on. That's That's not what we're discussing here, but it's issues that we're looking at that we can use these devices better than just for CopSync.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because next year is this, and the year after that is something else to.
Right.
Yes, sir, we're looking, I don't know if you may be able to answer this. Can we tie wireless with the 4RE systems that we have? Can we use these to view them? It's,
Yes. If we're, and Doug, you tell me if we're right, if it's linked with the server, we're able to view back video footage through our current,
4RE system.
which is the WatchGuard in-car camera.
Yeah, the in-car cameras, if we can get these, we could possibly also watch live in the EOC each camera that's on scene and see it live in person while it's happening. So there's other things we can use these for the $10,000 a year cost. So,
I know saving lives is what this is about. We can track these, besides what you're talking about, is there any savings later on? Do we?
Well, and one thing that they haven't brought up, this is gonna streamline a lot of our internal printing out
That's what I'm
paperwork.
thinking.
Yes, our paper bill should go down because we can upload offense reports, arrest reports, DWI reports, all sorts of things that we're printing out now, buying carbon copy, three arrest reports that are three carbon color. Then a lot of that's gonna be internally absorbed into this, can be uploaded forms that can be on here. The guys can actually do the reports right there, sitting in their car.
as you can see in the top right corner, just for instance, crash report, you can actually, the officers do not have to leave the street, go back to the office, spend an hour and a half, which is about what it takes for a simple crash, to do the paperwork and get it submitted. They can do it in their vehicle while they sit there on the roadside being visible. So they're not spending the time going back to the office, doing the paperwork on paper and then submitting it. This does it all electronically.
So those saying couldn't give you a figure on that, but it's gonna cut back on a lot of that
Paper
office
costs and
printing stuff.
ink.
Our department saved a significant amount of money by threefold. First, we didn't have to have our own servers. Because CopSync provides the server space for you on their CGIS system, that's something you never have to worry about buying those servers. The next part is that the approval process used to be we had to print it out, we took it to our supervisor would mark it up, we'd get it back, we'd have to change it, print it out, send it back up. Usually it came back with another set of markups. So we didn't have this redundant printing that we were talking about. These can all be approved online and stored online. But more importantly, it's the fact of what they were just alluding to. The officers can, from the field, take care of the majority of their paperwork while in their car, so that they don't have to come off the street, go back to a location where there's a physical computer, because now they have it in their car. And it makes your force seem that much bigger, because where maybe the citizens were used to seeing 2 officers out of the 5 that were on patrol out and about, because the other 3 were taking care of paperwork back in their station. Now you'll see 4 or 5 of them out on patrol the majority of the time. And that's a big deal when it comes to citizens.
Anything else at all? On the, I think Wayne's waiting to see if y'all want to move forward before he puts it together, because they always have their meetings like 2 weeks after ours. And then if y'all decide to move forward, then he'll present to his board, and then they'll bring the interlocal agreement back to us to review.
The question was, do we need an interlocal agreement now if we were to approve this?
Because he's just looking to see if we were going to put up our portion, and they'll move forward with their portion.
I make a motion that we implement the CopSync in all county facilities and Shrewsbury.
I have a motion by Kenneth.
Second?
I have a second by John. Any further questions or discussion for any of these gentlemen? All in favor of said motion? That's 5 for, 0 against.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank y'all very much.